Hello, welcome. I'm Little Wave. This is Your Stars Within. I'm here to talk about the Mars retrograde, which is coming up September 10th. It will be retrograding at 28 degrees Aries. It will retrograde back to 15 degrees Aries. Now, I want to remind you about retrogrades. We've talked about this in previous videos, that first, a planet actually moves through those degrees. So in this case, from 15, 16, right, all the way to 28 degrees Aries. We don't call it a retrograde yet, but it's going through those. It's actually the first hit of what is the retrograde. Then the planet stops, retrogrades, right? So now we call it a retrograde, stops, and now we say retrograde's over and it goes direct, but it actually still also has to come back through all of those degrees again. So that initial hit has already happened. Mars has been in through these degrees since about end of July, I think July 26th if we want to get technical, and so has been moving its way till 28 degrees, and on September 10 it's going to retro. And it's going to retro until it gets back to 15 degrees on November 14, okay? And then it will go forward. We'll say it's not retro, but it's actually still now the third and final hit. All retros have the 3 hits, and you're going to see that really through the end of the year. Now, let's talk about what Mars is. Mars is in Aries. So Mars is in his home sign. Mars, like Aries, is energy, it's motivation, it's rev, let's do it. Mars is the way that you organize, motivate, and constructively or not constructively direct your life energy. How do you spend your time? What are you motivated to do? Is it in your highest good? Are you choosing to send your energy in the right ways, or are there ways that would better support you if you redirected that energy? Mars is the god of war. He is responsible for conflict, chaos, fighting, blood, sex, aggression. But really, he's energy, pure force energy that a lot of times we don't know how to manage real well. And so with Mars, and Mars is in Aries, so it's sort of this double dose of vroom, right, rev, but at the same time, it's in his home sign, so he's very comfortable there. I want us to think about a couple of things. The first is, where is this happening in your chart? If you know your birth time, you would be able to know what house this is happening. And I do have other videos that show you how to pull up your chart and take a look at this. This would be helpful to you. If it's happening in the area of relationships, are you spending and investing too much energy there? You know, is it misdirected? Maybe it's in work or play. Maybe there's a not being responsible, or maybe in community. And it's just asking you, because the opposite of Aries, right, is Libra, so there's always this polarity. It's asking you to take a look at the ways that you're spending your energy. Is it in your best interest? And is it in balance? One of the things that I think is really important is that Mars going retrograde at 28 Aries is going to be retrograding with Saturn at 25 degrees Capricorn. Saturn is slow moving, okay? Mars makes a full circle around the zodiac every 2 years. Saturn takes 24 years. So Saturn's going to stay much longer in these few degrees. So the, space that Mars is retrograding at is in square to Saturn. That's significant. What does that mean? Okay, let's understand Saturn energy. Saturn is caution. He is like, hey guys, let's slow down. Let's think about this. Let's be responsible, right? He also represents the patriarchal energies. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Let's just stick with the caution right now. So Saturn is caution, and Mars is throw caution to the wind. Let's do it. Vroom, vroom. If it's a mistake, I'll figure it out, right? And Saturn would never just jump in. Like, no, let's plan for every possible mistake and account for it and do it correctly. So those energies don't mesh for a while, and they tend to frustrate each other. Mars has to wait way too long for Saturn. Saturn finds Mars to be rash and impulsive. So there's a relationship there that's challenging. Saturn is the brakes and Mars is the gas. And can you imagine driving around either pressing them both at the same time or, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake? It would be very frustrating. And frustration or tension, steam, those are kind of the ways I would think about the energy of Saturn and Mars. They kind of grind with each other. Now, Saturn is the stronger energy. As much as Mars is god of war and angry, he is a cardinal sign in general. Well, I guess so is Saturn, but Saturn is just a heavier energy. So at the end of the day, he will sit on Mars, right? And so there's this frustration that's happening. Where am I frustrated? Where can't my will go? Where am I trying to go that I feel stopped or halted? Because the aha is coming, but it's probably not coming till 2021. So let's now talk about a little bit globally. Globally speaking, Saturn's playing a major role. Coronavirus occurred with Saturn and Pluto conjunction. The increase in Black Lives Matter, protesting, people picking up humanitarian causes. Saturn has to do with all of this. Saturn is both, in this case, sort of the problem and the cure. He's going to play a role in both. So as the problem, he is the patriarchy, or he is the old structures. Old structures that, old policies, old law, old societal expectations, belief systems. It's old structures that need to be broken down. You're going to see this personally, especially about old mental structures, maybe things that you've inherited or that you've had within you that you maybe don't want to carry forward. You're going to see that early on in this retrograde because there's a opposition with Mercury in Libra. So we're going to see that September 24. So, right around there, you're going to notice the mental aspects of this. But so on a global level, what I want you to understand is that this Saturn-Mars thing is going to feel frustrating. Like we're not getting anywhere. Every time I press the gas and get a little bit forward, I hit that brake and I get jolted, right? I can't seem to get anywhere and it's frustrating. When a planet goes retrograde, what it does is it goes inward. So the first hit, the planet is forward, and it's kind of just letting you fall and stumble over all the problems, right? So you're finding out what this retro is going to be about. So let's think back to end of July 26th till now. What's been going on in your life? What areas have some hostility, some aggression, some frustration? Where do you feel that rev of... Mars is really raw energy, right? It's courage and it's, taking leaps, and it's this energized yes to life. And so let's think about where that's maybe been frustrated or excessive, or how has this energy shown up in a way that grabbed your attention since July? That's probably what this retrograde's going to be about for you. Collectively, we can look since July and say what's been going on, and collectively that's what it's going to be about for us. So we look at that. Now as it goes retro, this is internal. Now the inside work needs to be done. When something goes retro, you're being asked to think about inside yourself. How are you directing your energy? What are those mental processes? Are you thinking too much about one certain thing? Where are you feeling frustrated, and how can you alter that inside? Is the ways that you're going towards things, the way that you're motivated, is it most effective? So collectively, which actions have we taken that have been most effective, which have been least effective? So it's really like a revisiting, a processing, reframing. We're re-looking at things internal. Come November, what was the date? 14th, November 14th, he goes direct again. But again, he still has to get back through these degrees. So it's going to go till the end of the year. And in that time, actually in October, Pluto's going to go forward as well. So we're going to have this sense of understanding what the best way to direct our energy. And then we're going to start to move in that direction from November forward. That's the time to go forward. The time to go forward is not in retrograde. And that's really hard for Mars because Mars is all action and he just wants to do. But this is really about reflecting on the ways that we spend our energy, the ways that you spend your sexuality, right? Is your sex healthy? Is your give and take healthy, right? Mars Libra, is partnership healthy? You want to think about that the retrograde is the internal process, right? You stumble on it the first time, you just trip over what the problems are. Then you reflect in retro, and then you resolve and solve and with resolution take new forward steps. So it'll really be to the end of the year. Now, I've talked about this in other videos as well. February, we have a square between Saturn and Uranus. So this is where Saturn really becomes part of the solution. So he's part of the problem with Pluto. Now he's going to frustrate our efforts with Mars, and then he's going to come be part of the change. Because in February, we get our genius aha. Uranus is a strong enough planet to take on Saturn, and we've got a progressive, humanitarian, big lightning bolt moment, and we can move forward together. So that's what we're leading up to. So we really end this Mars retro as we move into that square. That square is early February, but we're really warming up all through January. So we move into the new year, 2021, in a very progressive space, and how this will change us collectively, but also individually. This can be life-changing if these are happening, in areas of your chart very specifically. So let me tell you what to look for in your chart. The Mars retrograde, you want to look at your cardinal signs. So that's Aries and Libra polarity and Cancer and Capricorn polarity. More towards the end, like degrees 24 all the way to, 0 of the next, all the way to 29. So the end is going to get the most effect because that's where it's retroing, but we can go as far back as 15 because he's going to retro back to 15. So even 12, 13, 14 is going to feel it when he's all the way back. So I want you to look at if you have planets or points being like your ascendant, descendant, MCIC lines, and look if you have planets or points between, say, 12 to 29 degrees of Aries in particular. Libra is going to get the opposition, and then the squares, Cancer and Capricorn, same degrees. Look at what houses, even if you don't have planets or points there, look at what house that end of Aries is in, because that's going to be significant. That's the area of life that this is happening in for you. As we near the change that I'm talking about in February, which I will make a totally separate video to talk about in depth, but that's going to be in the early fixed signs, like the 6 degrees of Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio, Taurus. But we'll talk about that another time. I'm just sort of like dropping that for you to understand that nothing happens in a vacuum. These are all related, and they're communicating with each other, and they're setting each other up. And right now we're going to go through this, frustration, but it's going to help us reorder and reorganize how we spend our life force energy, right? That's your Kundalini. That's your sex energy or your life force energy that is, up and down your spine. This is what gives you strength. And so we're going to take time and figure out how, because Mars is the director of that, how we direct it. And if we embrace the square with Saturn more openly, I know Saturn can be hard for some people, but if we embrace him as wise, maybe too cautious for sure, but bringing some wisdom or a teacher, he can help Mars to learn to be mature with his energy. And as we learn to express our Mars energy with maturation, Mars learns that he actually has more power and effect, and I think has appreciation for that. So there is a relationship to be had there. It can just be tense to find and not be slamming, gas brake, but actually finding that balance where we're actually driving somewhere in a consistent but also, safe and reliable way. We need to be getting somewhere. So, Mars is kind of saying we need to get the old structures, the patriarchy on board, and the patriarchy is saying we need to slow down and do this in an orderly fashion. And so that's my take on the Mars retrograde. I hope that's helpful. I hope you know where and how to find that in your chart. If you don't, or you have questions, please throw it in the comments. I really try to reply. I have other videos to show you how to look up your chart so you can look up these details for yourself. And of course, I always do readings if you want to look very personally at how this is going to affect you in your life. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching. Little Wave, your stars within.